Yeah, I guess the first real gig I ever had where I got a check was I was doing street promotions for Shaquille O'Neal. This is in DC, in Howard. I had a good friend named Kevin Mitchell, and Kevin was at the time before he got the Shaq deal. He was head and national promotions for Def Jam. So Redman and Method Man and Onyx were some of the big clients he had at the time, and he ended up leaving Def Jam. The first job he had, he was Russell Simmons' assistant at Def Jam. Then he moved to national promotions at Def Jam, and then after that, he started taking on gigs with some clients he had, and Shaq became one of his main clients. Shaq had a Twism label he was starting. So he helped Shaq navigate some of the musical waters that were coming up. He started managing Shaq. He had a partner, and so I was in DC. I was a guy that was just going to school at Howard, and he ended up reaching out and saying, "Hey man, I have a gig. You can do street promotions, put up posters, take some songs to the radio station, some CDs, hand out CDs." And, basically I took to it. That was the first actual check I got. And I lived in this building called 560 State Street. So I lived, 560 State Street. Used to see Jay-Z coming and going, Lord Jamar, he was in the building. And I used to see Lord Jamar with these guys who would become Dead Prez later on, just kind of hanging out, coming in and out of the building. And I used to sleep on the floor, man. There wasn't even a couch. Slept on the floor. Yeah. Didn't really know what I wanted to do, but I had a couple of friends that worked in the music industry. One of them was a guy named Matty C. Mateo Capolongo. Got to give him a shout out.
When he with the Source?
He was with the Source. At the time he was at Loud. He had taken the job at Loud. He had found Biggie. That whole thing had happened. And he was a DC guy. He was a DC kid. And so he looked out. We had some mutual friends, and he looked out. And everybody knew me from being Matty's friend. So I could go up to Loud whenever I wanted to. And I figured out that Loud had a desk in there with a phone on it. Okay, so I was looking for a job. I didn't really have any money. I was looking for a job, and it wasn't even an industry job. Literally, it was kind of like, man, I didn't even have quarters to put in the payphone. You know what I mean? So I would walk from 560 State Street. I would walk across the Brooklyn Bridge or Manhattan Bridge, whichever bridge was mine. I walked through Chinatown, through Soho, and I was like, one day I was like, you know what? I'm gonna do that, but I got to get to this desk with this phone on it because I need to find a job. I didn't think it was going to be music. I was looking for any kind of gig. I just, needed to find a job. And so there was, like I said, there was a desk there, and there was a room where you can go and you could smoke in the room. You could play music as loud as you want to. And I started calling friends of mine that I knew in the industry. I knew a lot of people, and I started calling friends to come up and play beats and kind of hang out and like do what we do. In the room, you could, like I said, you could just kind of hang out and you could smoke, you could drink, you could kind of do whatever you wanted in that room at Loud. And I got to that desk and I just started making moves, And I would come up there every day, and then after maybe like a week or so, Rich Isaacson, who was the president of Loud, he was just walking by and like went to the bathroom, kind of gave me the look, I gave me kind of heads up, went to the bathroom, and he came out, and he walked back by me. I gave him the heads up again, and he walked to the office next, and it was like, who the hell is that dude sitting at that desk?
I just nodded at twice.
And they're like, oh man, that's Jabbar, he's cool, that's Matty's friend, he's cool. And he was like, all right, if he's cool, man, he's cool with me, kind of deal. And I was like, oh, okay. I'm from New York. Okay. I'm from Long Island.
Long Island, New York?
Yeah. So, the interesting thing about that, I'm glad you asked me, because, when I was coming up, in Long Island, it was like, at the time, it was, there was so much music going on of people that were from Long Island that I could touch and see driving around. Like, so, Bismarck was always around, the 98 Posse were driving around, in Freeport, Westbury, and Roosevelt, Public Enemy. You know, leaders of the new school were starting to pop off. You know, Tribe would come back and forth. You see Tribe coming back and forth, but the main guys, one of the first main guys that really opened my eyes to the industry was Onyx from KMD. So KMD, Onyx's dad had a barbershop right on Woodfield Road. He had just moved to, he had one that was down, I forgot the name of the street it was on, but his dad moved his barbershop, the Reverend. Rev's Barbershop, right on Woodfield Road, and at the corner of Woodfield Road and like Eagle Avenue, there was like a lot of cultural stuff going on. So there was like an African bookstore there, kind of that was like popping out of. They were just kind of coming on board. There was some incense and you know, oils and stuff. And there was a lady there named Twanya, and she gave me a job there. There was her and this guy named Osai Kwamina. He was a ex, you know, Black Liberation Army guy. You know, he had done a lot of time in jail. Took a liking to me. Was like, so they got me a gig there. And then like, Rev's Barbershop was kind of on the corner, and then that bookstore turned into like the Ansar law community was popping off at the time. The Ansars were real strong. Mm-hmm. So they were out there, you know, so they had their books and the oils, incense. And KMD, those cats were like Ansars, you know, like Sub Rock and Doom, who's MF Doom now, and Onyx, they were KMD. And, you know, Onyx was like, he took a liking to me. We were real cool, you know what I'm saying? And we were kicking, and he was like, yo, man, he gave me this book. Like, yo, man, you want to learn about the industry, you know, you should check this book out. I think it was Everything You Need to Learn About the Music Industry. Kashif, yeah. And he was like, yeah, man, you know, check this book out, blah, blah. And I remember that's when they were just popping off. So like Peach Fuzz came out, and I'm trying to remember the other records. They were just starting to pop off. That first album, and Sub Rock ended up getting killed in a car accident, real tragic car accident. And you know, Doom kind of disappeared. But I remember them like going on tour, like they're going on their first tour, and it was like, I remember Charlie Brown jumping off the bus, like, whoa, we're here, man. Mm-hmm. Buster coming off, you know, and it was them, I think it was them and Brand Nubian and Leaders. Austin, I've been coming to Austin for 26 years. My parents retired here, they've been here. So I would always come and visit.
So your parents were in New York. How did they just retire to Austin, Texas? Like what?
They're from Texas.
Oh, okay.
They're my mom's from Houston. My dad's from Palestine, Texas.
Ah.
Okay, so we got family here, and they kind of like, well, we don't want to be next to everybody.
Yeah.
We kind of maybe want to find a cool little spot to kind of get off. You know what I mean? And kind of be close, but not so. Well, Music on the Menu. The idea I got for it, it's been almost 2.5 years in the making, almost 3 years in the making. And it was something that, you know, I decided that I had to do it because all the signs kept pointing to me, hey, me need to kind of do this thing. You know, I produce shows in Austin every now and again. You know, I'm really skeptical and scampy on what I do here because, you know, unless you get the right situation at the right club with the right deal, the numbers are very meager and small to make money on doing shows. The margins are so small to make money, basically. It's kind of few and far between. You can hit a winner, you can hit one out the park or a couple out of the park, but there's a lot of planning that goes into it and refining and constantly perfecting how to really do it. And it's a number game. Yeah.
Are you saying that in the live music capital of the world?
Oh, yeah.
It's hard to really make money off of shows. How can this be?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Yes. Yes. It's if you have a formula, the formula for I have my own personal belief and my own personal formula.
Boy, you are your daddy's son, ain't you?
Yeah. In the live music capital of the world. It took me 10 years to figure this out, people. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? It didn't happen overnight. I'm like, okay, why are these things happening or not happening? A lot of it is yourself. a lot of it is self motivation and what you're willing to do and give up and motivate yourself to actually be willing to, take those leaps of faith and or do the numbers. A lot of it is the right place at the right time and be prepared. But in the live music capital of the world, yeah, it can be extremely difficult to make money and shows because, like I said, it's a numbers game. The artist costs money. Who's paying for it? The venue may cost money. Who's paying for the venue? Who's making those flyers and posters? Who's putting gas in your car to get around and move and shake and go into those places where you need to put up a poster and do stuff? The cool thing about Austin is, though, you can actually do that. There's 100 places you can put up a poster, and somebody's like, "Hey, I'll let you put it in my cafe, in my place." Try that in New York and LA. It ain't happening. Also, I mean, you have to be on your business, man. Your business, because like anything else, a club owner or people that are in those places that can potentially book your act or book your show, they don't really have time to mess around. So I mean, so 3 years in the making, 10 years of being, maybe 12 years or 14 years of being in Austin, but then 10 years of really focusing, and then 3 years in the making when music is on the menu, I figured out that, the margins are very small, so there needs to be maybe something extra to get the people out to do what we're doing, And the one thing that I figured out was, I have a couple of friends that own restaurants, so Tots and Taco that own Ramen Tatsuya, those are friends, and 3 years ago when they opened Ramen Tatsuya, it was like, oh my God, like it was a line out the door. They're balling out of control, and they have, their second one is downtown, right by Highball and like on Lamar, so they're doing stuff. But they're DJs, they know music.